You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections. The results, we interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
That's right, Moto fans. This is episode 178 of the AlwaysMoto podcast, proudly brought to you by technicmotorsport.com and duramoose.com.au. I'm your host, David Hogan, the physiotherapist who knows the injuries and fitness needs of our sport of motocross and supercross. And we go through everything and anything moto here on the show because it's always about moto here on the AlwaysMoto network. This week's show, we're going to cover a bit more Super Motocross 2026 so far. Obviously, we just had Glendale on the weekend past. We've got Seattle coming up this weekend, and we're going to talk all that stuff, the injuries and that's going on in that series. We've got the contractor, Ben Grinly, on with us later in this as well to join in and join part of that conversation. We've got Stark Varg talk as well. I've got another couple of weeks with that Stark Varg EX that we'll chat about later in the show. I've got some videos dropping on that shortly, but we've also got a special guest tonight. We've got the privateer Kawasaki man from Australian Supercross series that you might know. It's Elijah Wiese. We will be on here shortly in a second. We're just going to run through our interview, our sponsor list here, and then we'll get into it all and we'll bring those guys in. So plenty to like about this show coming up this evening. So our sponsors as well. Obviously, we mentioned Technic Motorsport there off the top. They are your go-to for anything suspension-wise. They have everything that you need to do any tuning work, whether it's shims, seals, wipers, bushes, springs, all that sort of stuff that you need to change anything to do with your suspension. Check out technicmotorsport.com. If you're not in Australia, that's okay. They have a currency converter on their website and they ship daily with DHL to most countries. We also have that duramoose.com.au. If you need moose tubes for your bike so you don't get a flat, check out our codes in the show notes below and you'll be able to get yourself a discount on some mooses, which is pretty handy. It'll also support us, which will support the show, which is nice. We've got pivot pegs on board, Competitive Edge Performance and Tech 167 3D printing. Thank you for all their show support. If you want to support us directly, we've got our t-shirts. I'm wearing this one right here. This is the ones we have available. They're $25 plus postage and handling. And you can email info@alwaysmoto.com to get a t-shirt order on the way. We do payments via PayPal. And if you don't want a t-shirt, but you want to support the show, maybe just donate directly to the PayPal account. All those links, discount codes that we have available, they are in the show notes or in the link on our bio on our social pages. All right, enough with this intro crap. Let's bring the guys in here. Going to flip the screens over. You're going to see the two of them. Here they are. The contractors on top. Elijah Wiese's on the bottom. Elijah, nice tour of the garage we're going to get to shortly, but nice backdrop, mate.
Thanks, mate. Well, this is welcome to where the magic happens, basically. This is privateer heaven. I spend more time in my shed, but no, thanks for having me. Feels like a lifetime since I've seen you guys, but it was really only a few months ago at Supercross, so it's good to be back on and talking.
Yeah, it disappears quickly that time when the race season's not happening, but yeah, Christmas and all that's been in between. Benny, I feel like we're both inadequate with the backdrops tonight. Like yours is not bad, mine's not bad, but Elijah's outdoing both of us.
Yeah, we both need a few more things in here to a few plastics for me doesn't add up to what we can see in the background there.
I might have to get you a front plate or two. What do you reckon?
Hey, I've tried to steal them off you, but all the little kids always steal them.
Yeah, they're probably broken ones. You don't want them.
No, it's nice to have you on, Elijah. Appreciate you doing it tonight. It was a bit of a short notice too. I sort of only messaged you this afternoon and sort of said, hey, how about we do this? So appreciate you making some time. But we're going to get your opinion on a few things as we go through tonight. tonight. Obviously, we're talking some super motocross here to start with. We'll check in about what you're going to be up to through 2026 a little bit, see what's happening with those Kawasaki's, those green bikes of yours, and see where we might see you next as well. But let's start with the super motocross. And Benny, Glendale has been on this past weekend. I think I said this last week on the show that it was a Eli or Ken venue, but that Hunter was he's building something quietly here in the background this season. I think I was proved pretty well right with what's gone on there. Eli looked like he could have won if he hadn't have fallen off. That heat race performance was pretty impressive from him. But Kenny was lights out in the main.
Yeah, they both pretty much made headlines, didn't they? For their best track. Good to see Kenny finally get a win. I thought Hunter might catch him towards the end, but he's been pretty good towards the end of the races, but it didn't happen. But yeah, that freak, or not freak, but Christian Craig tucking the front and Eli falling off at the start, and then took a few laps to get going, and it's just not ideal. It probably would have been a good race otherwise with maybe those two up front, but he couldn't get back up far enough, which now majorly swings the championship points.
Yeah, the points have obviously swung around, but that talking point there of that first turn crash. And Elijah, you've probably seen it from Tomac over the years in terms of he just gets up a bit slowly at times and takes his sweet ass time, let's say, when he's getting himself back into race pace. And as much as he still gets a somewhat okay result at the end of it, he does take so long that you think if he just got going in like 5 more seconds, he could have got maybe 2 or 3 more positions and it might not have been so bad. It's a weird situation for Tomac when he hits the deck, right?
Yeah, I think that may be like the first sign of Tomac's a human and getting old, of him taking that long to get back to a bike. Like, because he usually takes a little bit of time, but this was it's a long one. Everyone was sort of holding their breath for a while to sort of think, what's going on here? Do we have an injury? Do we, and maybe he was just doing the same thing, the self body check and making sure he's all good. But he did take his time, but it was good to see him, slowly start clicking off some laps and then obviously putting in times equivalent to the guys out front. But for a little bit there, I was like, oh, what's happening here? So it looked a little slow and ginger there for a bit.
Yeah, I think it's just the usual Tomac thing. I was going to ask whether anyone thought it was age related that he got up slower, but I think if you go back to that crash that he had in 2017 on the Cowie days, and he was in that fight with Dungey, and he just wandered around for a few seconds and then thought, oh yeah, maybe I'll pick the bike up, and then, oh yeah, I better start it. And it sort of gave me the same sort of vibes. Like he's just like, oh crap, I've hit the deck. I need to just sort of relocate myself before I jump into anything. So I don't know. That's sort of, I don't think it's anything about, he's getting old and senile and he couldn't remember which way was the track or which color bike he needed to pick up, because there was a couple on the ground there that might have confused him, sort of thing. So yeah, it was a bit odd, but Christian Craig running in there, I think he was a bit overzealous going in. Elijah, you've probably seen some of those going into a first turn where somebody's just hanging on for it and they've just gone way too far into a first corner.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think too for Christian, like in a position where he obviously, hasn't had the greatest season so far. So I think he was pretty eager to get in the mix and, get it up with the front boys early. And I think maybe a result of, seeing him, throw it into the first corner pretty hard and tuck in the front. Obviously, we know Glendale's not the softest of dirt, so it probably didn't, wasn't the greatest dirt to grab a whole handful of front brake on. And next thing you know, he's taking out Tomac. So,
wasn't it?
Yeah, as we heard. So yeah, I was not too sure on that comment, but yeah, wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, and Benny, I think there's something to like what Elijah was saying about that first turn with the ground being firmer and Christian being zealous, and just, I don't know, there was something about the way that Christian was riding in Houston, but everyone, and maybe I don't see it, maybe I'm missing something, but everyone sort of says that he has this really nice riding style and he's okay, but I just don't see it. I see more of what he did there in that crash where he's over committing to something and making a mistake. And he's not that pristine, pretty rider that everyone says he is. And I don't know, Benny, do you think I'm wrong? Like, is there something to that, or do you see the same as the way that I sort of saw that?
Well, I think, did he get a good start? I think it was in the heat race. He got a good start and was running up front. So that probably gave him some confidence to go, right, I got this. but I don't really think we've seen his nice riding style since the 250 at Stark and his championship year. Didn't really see it on the Husky before he hurt himself, and I just don't think it's really come back. He doesn't look the same when you see him ride. I know, the bikes are a little bit different, but I think you're right. I just haven't seen that same nice, fluent riding from him since the arm problem.
Well, he's missing part of his elbow. So, like, they took out the head of the radius to try and solve some of the lack of bone recovery that he was having there for that Husky crash that sort of lingered into basically the next year and a bit or whatever it was that sort of took the sort out there for him. So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you wonder, like, yeah, he got a good start. Yeah, he might get a reasonable result, but he always sort of ends up, at least in the 450 class, not really getting where he probably thinks he should, not since he's moved up. Like, there was those Honda days when he did a fill-in here or there, and he was pretty good then, right? Like, I don't think that was those results were sort of, I think he got a couple of fourths at the time, if I remember correctly. So he's capable, but just, yeah, something's gone astray since then. But yeah, definitely upset Tomac's night. And Tomac's comment there that you mentioned, Elijah, just he got taken out. But I don't know if you can really say that in the first corner. Like, that's just going to be unfortunate incidents, right? First corners, everybody goes everywhere. And wasn't it, actually, I'm reminded, we all know him, Ryan Kohlenberg. What was the comment that we got from him at Cronulla when he went for the whole shot? Was it the whole shot offense was his comment or something?
Yeah, I reckon he said, "I'm either getting the whole shot or I'm hitting the fence," and he hit the fence.
Yeah. So I think that's where Christian Craig was taking a leaf out of Ryan Kohlenberg's book, and I don't know if that's a good idea. Sorry, Ryan, but
love you, Ryan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've missed a couple of calls from him recently. I need to get back to him actually. On a different note. But look, the other side of this thing, Hunter Lawrence at the moment, 4 second places on the trot. I said a couple of weeks now, he's building something and he just keeps slowly building something. But red plates now heading to the next round, obviously impacted by that crash from Eli Tomac and the poor result. But that could have been last week too, had he not salvaged that third main at the Triple Crown for Eli after that big get-off that he had then too. So there's a point where, Hunter could have had this plate this week and next week and sort of, just sort of been rolling further along. So it's awesome, but at what point, and I'll ask this both of you, and, Benny, you can go first, but when does Hunter get a win?
I think it's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Well, but is it coming soon for you?
Well, I honestly, once he was out front this weekend, I thought that was it. I thought that was the win and that was going to be over, and then everyone could stop talking about it and just let him then get on with it. But you've got to think within the next 2-3 weeks, he's got to make it happen.
Is that because of any of the tracks that are coming up? And I'm going to talk about this in a second here because I've got a little piece that I've documented here. But the 3 tracks that are coming up, do they give one of them give you a standout reason as to why?
Not really. I just think
it's due.
Yeah, I just think it's due. And now the red plate's there. He's going to realise that, right, I've got them. I need to keep them now. And everyone's going to be coming for him. And I think that, he just needs to, probably if he always comes back at the end of the race, he always gets closer and closer to the leader at the end. He now needs to either start that earlier or just try and get the whole shot and go and just go start to finish.
Yeah, Elijah, he's Hunter's sort of this odd case where he can get a whole shot, but then he can't find 1-2 laps of speed to hold it, and he'll drop back, and then he sort of, like Ben said, he'll climb forward. But when do you see him getting a win, and do you think that this red plate, as they say, will be heavy on him over the next week or two, or will he just, be doing pump and iron all week to make sure it feels as light as it always does?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with Ben saying I thought it was going to be this weekend because, he's usually, like you said, he struggles with the first couple laps, and then this week he figured that out. And then it was like him and Ken swapped. Ken lost his early race speed and then got his late race speed. And Hunter figured out his early race speed and lost his late race speed. So, yeah, I know. But I think, everyone's sort of still got Tomac and Webb and these guys as their favourites. But, if you look at the series, Hunter's just 2, 2, 2, 2. And that's the best guy. If he can just keep being there and being second or third, or and there's going to be different winners throughout the season. I think he is the best guy right now. He's obviously got the red plate, so the win, I think, obviously it's probably playing on his mind a little bit, but I've heard guys talk to Johnny O and say this is the game plan. They're playing the long run. They're not too stressed about the win, the singular win. Like, it'll come when it comes, but he's doing his job and he's got the red plate. So it'll happen in the next few weeks. But I think he's the best guy right now to me.
Yeah,
he's the most put together and obviously consistent rider. There's been so much going on around him, and he's just been there on the money.
Yeah, he definitely has been. And I think part of that, the start prowess of the Honda from outdoors for both Jet and Hunter, when they've had those crazy 1-2 starts at like most of the motos throughout the summer, that wasn't there last season. And obviously the two of them weren't there for much of Supercross, but even the Supercross season before that, their starts weren't that fantastic, but their outdoor starts were. I feel like they've figured out, maybe not exactly as well as they do in the outdoors, but he's getting much better starts so far through the start of this, and that drive that he gets, that's obviously electronically done for the traction aspect of it to manage it. I feel that's better. So there is a consistency that he's going to be able to repeat this for me. I think it'll be in one of the next 4 races, because there's 4 rounds that are coming up, and hear me out on these. We're going to have a 9-race run here at the start of the season before we get a break, right? So we're going to have this fitness aspect come into it where there's no management, there's no weeks off. If you've got anything going on, it's a problem, right? So we normally think of like Ken being on fire early, dropping off towards the end of the season. This would be where he starts normally towards that Daytona point where he starts to like dip, right? And he's not going to get a break before that Daytona point. It's actually going to be around after Daytona. So I don't know how Ken's going to go, but then they've all done, of the top 4-5 guys, as in Hunter, Cooper, Eli, Ken, they've done some off-season stuff. Chase hasn't, but Chase is an outlier, and I'll come back to him for a second. But we've got Seattle up next, which is soft and rutted, potential weather. We've got Arlington, which is usually a bit softer, a bit ruddier. We've got Daytona, which is outdoors sandy. And then we've got Indy, soft and rutted. We've got 4 consistent tracks that I think the Honda will be better on. And both Hunter and Jet have said that they're not fans of the hard pack tracks at different times, both indoors and out. So if any time's going to happen, surely it's these next 4 weeks. Am I wrong? Either of you? Like, do either of you think that it's going to, if it doesn't happen here, it might not happen? That's my concern, but is the other part of this too. So, Benny?
I think I think the next 4, it's got to happen. If it doesn't, like, I'd be getting a bit scared.
Elijah?
I agree. Definitely. Like you said, they don't particularly like the hard pack stuff. And the Lawrence brothers are so technically good that obviously the ruddier conditions, softer conditions are going to suit them better. I have a feeling that when it comes down to the more ruddy technical tracks, I don't know why, I think Tomac may struggle a little bit with the KDM. I think the KDM suits the early West Coast swing that they've had so far a lot better. And then I think coming into the softer tracks, it's obviously going to play into the hands of Hunter, Cooper, Webb a little bit more. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I'm the same as you, Ben. If it doesn't happen in the next 4, I'd be a little bit worried.
Yeah, that's my main concern is I think he's got to get it done before the break. Otherwise, it might not happen. There'll be just too much of he'll be in it, but he won't be in the hunt because somebody else will have had probably 2 or 3 wins in that time and drop the points out. But yeah, you touched on something that I've brought up before, Elijah, about the KDMs and the hard pack tracks. If you notice, whenever anyone switches, and Chase was a big example of this, when they got to the Anaheims, they were okay, but that Phoenix round where it's like baked, solid desert dirt, and then if you compare that with the Hangtown where it's just that hard surface, square edge bumps, KDMs do well. It's when they then switch to the other track styles that they start to fall off. And I've been waiting for Tomac after watching him. Benny, you were there watching him in the Gold Coast. There was something off there. He had one race, but the other race wasn't so good, and qualifying and all that stuff wasn't fantastic. He didn't look great. I've been waiting for that shoe to drop about where this bike isn't quite right for him, or the old man stick to come out and he starts walking slower or something. I don't know. There's got to be something to go wrong here. It's been great. Yeah, the crashes, but last week wasn't his fault. The one before that, he stood on the brake. It was an accident, right? Like it can happen. But yeah, something's got to stop, right? Like something's got to change. And yeah, interested in your thoughts, Elijah, on that one from the bike point of view. Do you mirror what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I've ridden all of most of the current bikes before I signed with Cowie. Like I've tested and ridden them, so I kind of understand the feeling of the KTM, and it is a very nice bike, easy, smooth bike to ride. When there's not a lot of traction in the dirt, the bike, I guess, flexes a little more with the steel frame. It feels better on the harder soils. I have ridden it in a ruttier track, and I sort of struggled with that front end in ruts and so on. And then riding a Japanese bike, you feel so comfortable when there's a rut to hold you in it. You feel like you can just get in and out. But when there's no ruts, it has a little vague front end feeling. So I do think that we will get to a point where Tomac does start searching a little bit when we do get to the softer tracks. And this weekend in Seattle, with the weather that may be coming in, maybe a first sign of him maybe starting to look a little bit for setup, because apparently they've barely touched anything. So like I said, that will change, I think.
I find that hard to believe from anyone at that level, but okay, I'll take it on face value, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I think he's probably at a point where he hasn't, when they say they don't touch anything, they probably mean they've gone 3 or 4 clicks throughout the day. That's not touching anything for them. So I think he's just been riding that bike a lot and gotten to a point where the bike's pretty good and he's riding it and comfortable on it. But like I said, I think they'll get to tracks where he actually needs to change his setup a little bit, and he may struggle a little bit. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
Benny, does he bring out the scoop tire for these next soft rounds with the softer surfaces and the ruts and whatnot? I'm sure it's going to be out for Daytona, but what about a Seattle or an Indy? Do you reckon he's game?
It's possible, but I think it just depends on whether they actually let him use it or not.
Well, he ran it at that Gold Coast round, and those whoops were like concrete. Like, I don't know how he did that.
Yeah, I think it'll just depend. But then how much does it throw their setup off putting that on? How much is there to change between the two tires? That'll be, Elijah might have some idea on. I don't know if you run the scoop or not, some sort of scoop. But
yeah, I think it's interesting to note. Like, Tomac is such a very, he's very sensitive to his rear end height on his bike, right? And so a couple mil off, and you got to think the scoop tire is a lot cooler than a normal tread tire. So that then might start jacking with the rear end a little bit. And we know he likes his rear end high. So does that go too high with the scoop? Like there's so much to go on. So, I've heard things of Tomac being off by 2 mil in the rear end, and he got arm pump and had a horrible moto. So, I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, it could be interesting.
It will be interesting to watch. I don't know. I don't want to predict anything, but it's nice to sort of spitball this amongst you guys, because I have these thoughts at times when you're watching it and they're talking about stuff and you're like, nah, like there's got to be more to this, and there's going to something change. So I think the best part for us as fans and stuff watching from afar for this particular series is that there's 4 to 5 guys that are in this hunt still. The problem we've got for the time being is, when will one of them or 2 of them drop out of this for different reasons? Do they have a DNF? Do they have an injury? What changes here? Because for the moment, I think we're 5 guys within 17 points or something. So it's pretty nice on that side of things. So yeah, anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the fact of the Seattle track this weekend. The build. We're actually going to have a familiar build time, boys. The Australian Supercross Series has done this many a times and built from a Wednesday or a Thursday, most likely Thursdays, and got the track in, but no press day riding. But by Saturday morning, they're still sort of just finishing off the thing as we're doing, track walks and stuff. That's going to be the AMA this week, because the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl and they can't get in because all the roads are shut for, parades and whatnot. So how is this going to go for a track? Do you reckon we get press day 1, Benny?
I doubt it.
Optimism, I like it, right?
I've seen it too many times, but there's, I feel like the Dirtworks guys have got a lot more people than what we have here, so anything's possible.
Yeah, there is that side of things, and they've probably done this what, maybe 50 times more than our guys have. No offense to our guys, but they've done obviously the 17 round series over however many years Dirtworks guys have now been doing this, whereas we have 4 or 5 rounds a season so far in recent times. And yeah, so they've got this down much more down pat. But do we have any fears for the track build, Elijah, about this process here?
I actually heard that they were on the phone to ProTracks this week saying, how can we get this done in 2 days?
Can we get a consult on how to do this track? Yeah, that's awesome.
No, I think
wow.
I think they've been called in for the night shift. So I mean they'll get the track done. Because like you said, they've got so many more workers or, you know, more machinery and stuff that we just don't have here. So I think the track will get done. But like you said, not having press day, I think is going to be massive for the track and how it breaks down, because basically, you know, press day is press day, whatever, but it's basically a track wear-in session is what they use it for. And then, you know, because the tracks usually get better the more they sort of work it and prep it. So it will, I think, depending on the rain situation, the track is going to break down like a lot more than probably what we've seen. So I think that'll be the biggest factor in what they're going to face this weekend.
Yeah, that part, the weather could really screw with this because, like, it is Seattle. It is an open-air stadium. The weather in that region is temperamental at best. It's not meant to be too bad, and I'll cover that later on for the race day itself. Cold, yeah, but, yeah, it'll be an interesting situation to see how they pull this all together. On the track builds, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but because I do a little track map video each week, it's only a sort of 60-second thing. But I look at the track map and go, all right, there's this and this and this obstacle on it. Sweet. So I talk about it, and then I get there on Saturday or Sunday, our time, Australian time. I turn on the TV and I watch the first lap and I go, what the hell's that? That's not what I looked at during the week and talked about. Has anybody else noticed these track maps aren't worth the paper they're written on?
I don't even look at the track map these days. There's no point.
Yeah, good
no
point. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do these videos anymore. Benny?
I thought the last few have looked pretty similar and haven't been too bad. But if we're talking about AusX, then yeah, because they're never the same. They're always different. But yeah, I mean, if it's only minor things, I haven't really noticed, but I didn't think they were too bad.
Well, for Glendale, there was meant to be 2 sand sections. That big sweeper that they had around before they came back across the start straight and then ended up in the sand, that was meant to be sand as well. So that wasn't for one. That was a massive obvious thing. But they haven't had a Supercross triple, a traditional Supercross triple on the track. They've been taking out that middle section now and either having it jump over the start or just taking that out altogether. And I feel like that's just still on the back of the Barsha Malcolm Stewart crash at round 1. And like that sort of stuff has unfortunately happened for decades in Supercross, but all of a sudden cut that middle out, it's going to make all the difference. I don't see how that makes the difference, because if the guy still rolls and ends up in the middle and comes up as the guy's coming down, we're still in the same predicament. So I don't know if that's really necessary. Elijah, you've jumped plenty of these triples. I don't think taking the middle out of it's going to make much difference to whether you get landed on or not.
It probably makes it worse, to be honest, because you like land on flat ground or you have to really roll the up ramp. So it probably makes it worse, making it just a double. So yeah, I don't know. I've noticed that as well, because I'm always like, where's the main triple? You know, like it's sort of like a staple of Supercross is having the main Supercross triple. Good place to relax your arms, I can tell you that much. But
yeah, that's the usual comment you get from everybody, is the one like breather point, because you got sort of like that 3-second air time where you sort of can be up there and be like, oh, yeah, sweet, hands off, take a deep breath and go again. But they've had it on the map too for a couple of the rounds where it was meant to be the finish line was the triple, but then it's just turned back into the regular double. And amongst other things, the bananas, I've never heard of a banana before. Benny, we talked about this last week. I'm going to get Elijah's point of view. There's never been a banana on a track before, right? Unless somebody left the skin when they're having lunch, right?
Yeah, I've seen similar things, but it's just like, as a rider, when you're jumping into a banana, you know, it's shallow, so you're taking off a short, you know, not as high lip, and a lot of them have been jumping over 5 foot. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's so sketchy. Like, to jump into a shallow landing and then take off of a short landing, short up ramp and try and get over a bigger down ramp. it doesn't make any sense. I think they'll probably go away from them now after all the complaints and issues with them.
Well, Benny, anytime they ever try to jump off something and extend it over a 5-footer, we tend to have a trouble somewhere along the line. Somebody comes up short, clips the front end and end for ends. It doesn't happen like to everyone, but there's usually 1 or 2 in a night where you're like, oof, that was either really close or that was really bad, sort of thing. Like it's pretty regular, right?
Yeah, and you see it, and then same like you just said, you're basically holding on for dear life once you hit it, and you usually end up on the ground.
Yeah,
there is a way to do a banana better. Like if they just scoop out that transition just like by a couple feet, you get that sort of more in and out, and you get that pop. Like there's a way to do it, but I don't like what they've been doing. Just knowing what it would be like to ride, it'd be pretty scary.
Yeah, I think like the idea in theory is good. The execution has been poor, let's say. So maybe there's something they need to work on. Maybe they take them all out and try this again in the off season for a build and a test series. But they seem to like to test these things live in main events. So here we are with a list of injuries. I'm on the 2 pages now, in case anyone's wondering, of my little injury list that I keep. So it's pretty crazy, but yeah, let's talk a little 250s while we've got the chance. But there's not really heaps to talk about here because I feel like in the West Coast, we've almost, for many people, handed the plate to Hayden Deegan. Now, there's still 5 rounds to go. We're only halfway in. But there's just a feeling across everybody that nobody's got anything for Hayden Deegan. Benny, have you handed in the plate already?
I think he's got one hand on it. But as we saw with Austin Faulkner a few years ago, anything can happen. And I don't know, if you keep trying to shoot bow and arrows at people, sometimes something's probably just going to come back and get you. So I think he's got one hand on it for now, but we'll just wait and see.
I don't know where to take the bow and arrow. I know it happened, but I didn't expect you to bring it up. Like, I don't know. Has anybody else been shot by a mysterious arrow that's invisible before?
I mean, I love basketball. I love NBA, and I play basketball myself. Not at a super high level, but I've played, and I am ashamed to admit this, but I have given someone the imaginary bow and arrow after hitting a 3 on him. So look, I see where he's coming from. I don't mind it, the celebrations, because we kind of just see riders go over the line, fist pump, that's sort of it. You see it in NFL, you see it in NBA, whatever other sports, they have these celebrations after a shot or a touchdown. I don't mind it. I kind of like it. I think a lot of people probably don't. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Hayden because I can't see anything in his Instagram because he blocked me. So
that's right. He has to. That was last year, wasn't it? You had one comment and you got labelled as like a hack privateer or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, C class final boss. That's what I got called. So, which I mean, it's not far off the truth, I guess. But for his celebrations, I'm kind of there for it. And I also agree with Ben. I think he's got one hand on it, but I mean, anything could happen. And someone could clean his front wheel out next week. So, yeah.
Now, seeing as you brought it up originally, Benny, do you think that that he got spoken to, because the week before all that, it was the finger guns. Do you think they were talked about that it's American, we can't do guns in celebratory things because we have a bit too much gun crime? Or what do you think that was the reason he switched from a gun to a bow and arrow? More accurate, maybe?
Well, just quickly before we get to that, I don't mind it. I think if it was anyone else, it's fine. Like, Elijah's probably heard of him, but Xavier Dersmo, who plays in AFL, he does it every time he kicks a goal. That's fine. I'm good with that. Yeah. He played for Port Adelaide, now he plays for Essendon. But when there's a history behind Kitchen and Deegan, it's more like a targeted thing, and that's where I'm sort of not a fan of it. But the gun thing's probably not great, even though they all seem to do it. Ryder D did it.
Yeah,
when he finished in front of Hayden. So he may have been told to stay away from it, but then I think either way we're shooting someone and it's not ideal.
Yeah. Elijah, are you pulling finger guns at if you get third for fourth, like
in an AMA Supercross, 100% I'm doing it.
Okay, good. Yeah, right,
100%. But I actually think now that you mentioned the bow and arrow, and I've just kind of clicked. Levi Kitchen's really into his hunting and fishing, and I believe I've seen videos of him actually bow and arrow hunting before. Whether Deegan even thought that much into it, and that's the level of trolling he's on. I don't know. That could be something there.
No, you are onto it, I reckon, because I feel that everything that they do, that he says on interviews and stuff, on podiums, it's all to his own schedule that they've decided on beforehand. Because you watch him, particularly with when JT does the interviews, and JT explained this on one of the podcasts I listened to when he was talking about it, that he always does first and third for 250. So he always tends to end up talking to Hayden because he wins a lot. But you watch his interview question, and he'll say, "So I saw you do X in the whoop section. You're on the right side or whatever, for example. Tell me about that." And you'll go, "Yeah, that was a good line." And he'll run off for like a minute and a half on whatever it was his preset, theory that he was going to talk about. So I feel like if you've hit something there, that he's trolled Levi and gone, this is going to go straight to the heart, pun intended with that comment. And I'm going to get him with his own setup. So it's a targeted approach for sure. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But speaking of Levi, the dude's got to figure out a start. He's up in his head about this, but damn, he rode well once he figured out the first corner. Like from then on, he was on fire, but first 100, 200 meters of the track, he's useless. Benny.
Have you got any tips for him, Elijah? You on Team Green too?
Well, I mean, the way that he was starting before with his technique, I've always watched it, and he like sits on the gas cap, and it's like, I was like, that can't work. Clearly it didn't. So he's changed that apparently. So I don't know now.
Yeah, once you start making changes, and particularly in season, and you're changing something about that start technique each week, you have no repetition of like muscle memory, and you go there and you're trying to tell yourself, all right, I got to do this, I've got to do that. It's not just an automatic gate drops. I go and I do it all in one process. My muscle memory isn't just an automated, put the card in and it runs itself. You're literally trying to tell yourself, all right now, all right now, all right now. And each of those all right nows is like a split second, and you're half a bike length. You're a bike length off the start, So I don't think making changes at this point is any good idea. Elijah, sorry, cut you off.
Well, no, what's this? It's like, isn't it like 1,000 times you have to do something new, and then it becomes your new natural habit. So I doubt he's done 1,000 starts during the week, and he's probably changing those starts, like you said, each time. So it could just be a matter of he's gonna take some time to figure it out. I don't know, but yeah, it's I think like you said, he's thinking about it too much now.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. But you sort of hit on this, Benny, already, because you threw to him about how he starts and stuff, but we're going to circle back around because of the connection from the front end of Levi's bike that ended up on Chase's bike at one point, and then seems to have disappeared from Chase's bike, but is back on Levi's, and it couldn't get off the start. But the Cowie setup and Chase, I don't know what Chase is doing ever, I've decided, because there just seems to be a continuously run of parts going in and out, and nothing seems to be great for more than a 24, 48 hour period before it's off and gone again. But he can pull off a win out of nowhere, but then he's just absolute head case and rides like he did in Glendale. And what was he in the end? 7th that he ended up, Benny, I think, and just looked like nothing.
Yeah, I don't even think he knows what he's doing at times. I think he'd probably just goes, I want to do this, 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 and this, and then gets lost as to where he is. And then we're at the point where we just hit the gate and it all falls over.
Actually, that's a good point too. Have you ever tried to time a gate, Elijah? Because I think that's the dumbest thing ever.
The only time I've ever timed a gate is when you're at like some backyard motocross track and you can see the starter stomp the lever, and you see it stomp, so you go.
That's
so
not
that's
timing
like
the gate.
That's the closest I've ever been to anything. Other than that, no chance.
Yeah, because I don't think that's timing the gate, because I've done that. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'll give away my trade secret here. But a particular enduro cross race, when we've got gates, they don't have the signage up on the sides of the guy sticking his foot on it, or pull. I think it was pulling the rope, and so as much as like a certain gate was a straighter line to the first corner, I knew that I could sit next to the box and see the kickstart, and I would still get a gate, like a bike length jump on everybody before anybody else would move. So I was still better off there than I was on the. So yeah, anyway, that's not timing the gate for me. That's just using intuition to your advantage, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I find it hard to think that he tried to time the gate. Prado did jump flinch next to him, and I think that spooked him. That was my initial thought when he did hit that gate, because I saw Prado flinch first, and then Chase, obviously being so on edge, just went. So I think that was probably the main cause. But yeah, who knows what's going on upstairs.
Anyone know a horse trainer that they could maybe borrow some blinkers, to put on him? Because he's done this plenty of times. Like he's very much. Like, as much as he thinks he's probably looking here, I think his eyes are literally going, what's happening elsewhere? Because he does flinch a lot. When somebody next to him makes any sort of movement, he's gone. And it's not always good. So, yeah, maybe some blinkers would be useful, Benny.
Well, where was he looking when he hit Mitchell Harrison? Tell me that.
That was priceless. Like, honestly, that whole conversation about him not looking up. And then, funnily enough, I was going through some photos that I took at some of the rounds last year in the Nationals when I was over there for 4 rounds. And I had this one that I took of Chase on the KTM at Millville. And he's dead set in the middle of the corner, and all you can see is the top of his helmet. His head is actually pointing below like the barb pad line. It's like looking at the gas cap. And I'm like, there's nobody in front of him at that point either. So it's not like he's ducking from roost, but he doesn't lift his head. I don't care what he says about neck posture and his whole, foundation training that he carries on about. Your head's down, champ. You're not looking up. It's got nothing to do with your blood flow up your neck by keeping it in a straight line. I'm sorry to break that to you, but physiologically, it don't make shit of a difference at that point. So,
you go, Benny.
How far ahead do you look when you're on the track? Like, how far are you looking in front or down or whatever? Well,
I mean, it does change a little bit depending on where you are on the track, but you usually, anywhere from 5 to 10 meters ahead. But being a coach, and something that I always, try and instill into the kids that I coach is obviously eyes forward, because, and this could be, I'm sure you'd think on his level, he's been told this, but it could be a massive reason as to why he tucks the front so much, because as soon as your eyes come down, the ground is coming at you a lot quicker, so you're reacting to what's right there at your front wheel. So you're being very reactive. When you lift those eyes, and any good coach should know this, when you lift those eyes, everything happens a little bit slower. So, like I said, you'd think someone at his level would be working on that, or someone should tell him that, but that's just basic technique sort of stuff, really.
Maybe we can get some tape and stick it from the top of the helmet down the back to his back, so he can't physically tilt the head forward.
Hey, look, I'm looking for more work. If he wants a trainer, I'll gladly fly over and help him out.
C-class boss to the rescue, right?
Yeah, exactly right. We'll get him back on track.
Jesus.
Team Green, it all works.
Can you teach him the bow and arrow while you're there too?
Work on some post race celebrations. Yeah, we can do that.
Oh, that's not exactly where I thought we were going to go when I brought up that topic, but here we are. We're in the middle of a random talking conversation, so it's good stuff. All right, let's get off the super motocross stuff for the time being. I want to know what you're up to, Elijah, for 2026. This is the point where I think we need to do a bit of a garage tour, because you were doing it just before we got on the actual live show. You got a fair bit of stuff going on in here, mate.
Yeah, I'll take it for a walk. So 2026, I'm going to maybe race some nationals. Like I mentioned to you earlier this afternoon, I'm getting bored, so I want to go race. So we might race some nationals. So we've got a brand new Cowie 450 here that I just picked up the other day. That'll be my race bike for the first part of the season. This empty frame right here, bare frame, was my race bike for the last couple of rounds at Supercross. I don't know if you know Cal Makem or not, but he does a lot of bike giveaways. He's actually hired me to work and do a custom build on this. So it's going to be a giveaway bike eventually. Cool. There's all parts and, yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I've actually never, don't tell anyone, I've never stripped the 4-stroke fully apart. So the motor's here. I managed to get it out half all right, but putting it back together is going to be a different story. So,
Nobody's listening. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just bolts. If I'm missing a few at the end, it's just weight reduction, right? All the
Yeah,
teams do it.
exactly.
So
yeah. Save them, mate.
So I've got my downhill mountain bike here, which I'm pretty keen to get back on.
Hey, top 10, top 11. Where are we at now?
Well, I was sitting 10th, and then I obviously missed the last 2 rounds, so we fell back a bit. But we'll go with top 10. We'll go with top 10 in the state.
Right, yeah.
So, and then this one's a special one. This Honda CRF 250, which is a 2011. As you can see, I don't know, it's probably backwards here, but this plate is from the first year I raced Pro Supercross, or yeah, I guess it used to be under 19s. It's SX3 now. This was the same year model bike I had that year, and it was one of my all-time favorites. Just obviously first year racing Supercross is always special. I've had that plate ever since that, or basically ever since that season, and I bought another bike to redo up like I had, so that's cool. I got an 03 YZ22 stroke sitting here. That's like Yamaha of Troy sort of replica that I'm going for.
Nice.
I've actually got a factory seat cover on it from the team in America. It was Greg Schnell's, who was Chad's teammate at the time, which is kind of cool.
Wow,
so
how'd you manage to pull that?
I actually don't really remember. I've had it for a long time.
Okay.
Somehow someone on Instagram contacted me and said he had some parts for it and said he had the seat cover. It cost me a little bit, but I thought it was cool to have that.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we got a 07 KX125 that I'm another project, another unfinished project. You know, it's kind of the way that the shed goes right now. So that's getting built at the moment. My suspension guys got the suspension. We may be doing a Supercross video on the 125, so stay tuned for that. That'll be fun. Yeah. And then we just got some polished parts here for the Kale's build, and then we got started a jersey wall. So we've got a Mossy jersey.
Yeah.
We've got a Declan Smart jersey, young kid that I look after here, 85 rider, and then one of my own, and then we've actually got a set of Kevin Moran's pants up there.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that was World Supercross in 23 or 4, I think. 24.
Yeah.
24.
24
Yeah. So that's cool. But yeah, the rest of it's a little bit of a mess, and we've just got a whole heap of stuff over here and a whole corner full of plastics. And so yeah, this is the Wiese 82 race shop basically. It's where we're at right
man
now.
Cave.
I spend more time in here than I do the house. But yeah, good, gets it done. I could do with more room because I need more bikes, but you know, need more green in here. Need more green bikes, I think.
Well, look, they are the current ride of yours, so that's nice that you've got that connection there, and you seem to be enjoying that green life since you've got on
I
it.
do.
So that's a good thing also. What you mentioned about doing some nationals, have you got a couple of rounds in particular that you've picked out? I'm assuming one's Vic or SA because they're closer and less driving for you, but what's on the schedule?
I'd love to do Canberra. I raced Canberra years ago, when it was on the national circuit years ago, and it's more of a hard pack style track, which is more my style. So I'm sort of searching for the hard pack track. So I'll probably do Canberra. If the funds are there and we're sort of, you know, enjoying the nationals, I might do like Toowoomba and maybe a few of the last ones.
Okay.
I might do Gilman. I'm not a huge fan of the Gilman track, so I might just, and it for one, it destroys bikes, that dirt and that water there. So I'll just play it as it comes. And like I said, I've been riding since Supercross season on my Supercross suspension just everywhere. So I've kind of just been like in a good spot with, you know, getting through Supercross healthy, and which hasn't happened for a while. So getting through healthy, and then just kind of kept the ball rolling and just really enjoying my riding. So I'll just keep going.
It's probably a good thing, Benny. We talk about this before about guys that sit around and don't do much, and then decide to jump back into the schedule because there's, you know, like usually 6 weeks before they decide I'm going to get back on a trainings program ready to go for this series that's coming up, and then it takes them the whole series before they figure out getting going. Doing a couple of nationals, Benny, beforehand sounds like a good idea for him, right?
Yeah, I think so, especially with how the last Supercross season went. We were good. Like, green changed everything. So, do some outdoors and then, head indoors is a good idea.
Well, those rounds you're mentioning too, if you're doing like a couple of the Queensland ones, they're the sort of that tail end of the series. So you're getting close to when you would be boot camping sort of thing for Supercross. So I
Yeah.
think it's a good little lineup there to bring yourself back with some gate drops, not
Yeah.
waiting, 10 months or whatever it is, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I think that was probably, one of my problems the last couple years, well, before last year, was I was coming in either out of, fresh out of surgery from an injury, or, had an injury coming in. So I had no racing coming in, and then just try and jumping in. Like you said, it doesn't work. Whereas last season I still didn't have a heap of prep time, but I was at least getting a bit of consistent riding in. I did some racing. So, and last year's Supercross, like, it wasn't amazing results, but it was like, for me, it was a huge rebuild and reset kind of year. Like, even though the results on paper don't look amazing, for me, it was like more mentally like a success, just getting through and building that confidence back. Cause, like, I know I'm not not a 20th place Supercross rider. Like, I know I can do better. It's just getting the reps in and getting the races in and staying healthy. So, the green team's been going good.
Oh, nice. So they're all on board for 2026, or have you got to wait till the Supercross season sort of gets closer before you can reconfirm that they're on for Supercross as well?
Nah, they're on board. They're on board. Like I said, I picked the new one up a week or two ago. So yeah, they're stoked. Cowie's really pushing hard at the moment. We've got the new the JPM 360 Kawasaki team, or whatever it is, by
Yep.
Jed Parsons up in Queensland. So they're pushing more into the scene, which works for me, and they're all happy. And honestly, like, there's a whole lot more green going on at the moment, and it's good to see. And so yeah, they're on board. They're stoked. And like, I'm not supported for the racing, which is kind of really good for me. Like, I'm more of a brand ambassador than on any sort of program for racing. So the racing is a bonus for them. They said that's cool. It helps too. But I'm more so an ambassador outside of
Yeah,
racing. So
nice.
yeah, it's it's been really good. I'm stoked.
Sounds like a nice little sweet ride he's got going on, Benny.
Yeah, and I was looking before, and there's probably people that we've talked. Elijah and I have talked about. I think we talked about it, Cronulla. We're so used to seeing your bikes with black on them, no green. They're always sparkly and black. And
Yeah.
is there, you talked about it, but for the people at home, what's Cowie's thoughts on your sticker kits, and how much do they decide what you run?
I've kept it pretty like factory looking, just sort of to start with, because like, start off the relationship and keep things factory looking. And they didn't really have any comments, negative or positive, about it. I think I think one thing that I was really, that sort of like got me really excited about signing with Cowie was, like, obviously they're pushing, but they're very like eager for me to be me as a rider and as a person. So that's, me doing these cool different bike builds and having a bit of a different look to your standard race bike. So I will do more of a out there look shortly. I've got some new graphics going on at the moment, which are slightly different to what I had. So they've been awesome, and they just, they let me be me, and that's kind of, I guess, why I've sort of get the support I do.
Yeah, nice. Well, mate, it's been awesome having you on. We're at the point where you can drop out if you want to, because we're going to talk about the injuries and some Stark Varg stuff, but it's up to you. You can just hang around. We're enjoying having you here. So
I'm hanging around. I've got
sweet.
nothing
I
else
just
on.
thought I'd
Yeah,
give you
let's
an
go.
out in case you're like, oh, these guys are getting far out,
No, mate. No, like I said, even if I did like leave this call, I'd probably still be sitting here in the shed. So let's keep going.
Fair call. All right, well, let's jump in. I'm going to hit the little intro for it. It's only audio, so we just sit here looking stupid for about 30 seconds, right? That's the method.
Easy.
The emergency department. All the injuries, all the gory details, and when they'll be back on track. It's the list you really don't want to be on. All right, we're heading into the emergency department, and I don't know if Benny and Elijah, you can't hear the intro when I play it, can you? So you're just sitting there even looking stupider than I do. So
I heard it.
Yeah, I can hear that one, but I can never hear the intro to the actual start of the pod.
Look, we got to a point. It took us, Elijah, just for your reference point, to get to this point where we can have a guest on and be live. It's what are we up to now? We started trying to work this out in like August or September, because the plan was to be able to do this through Supercross last year. And I had so many internet so many computer, so many program and just subscription issues that it was like I gave up at one point. I'm like, I'm going to just quit completely because this is just doing my head in. But to get to where we got to now, as if you can't hear or see a couple of intros, I really don't care.
Hey, it looks good from my end. It looks great. Like it looks good. This is high tech stuff.
Righto. Well, all right. Let's talk injuries in the emergency department for AMA Supercross. Now, I mentioned last week about the number of factory guys that were out, and I think I said it was 6 plus 7 if you included Jet because he got injured before the season, and I was only sort of including the 6 injuries that had happened since Anaheim 1 had kicked off. But did you both notice the number of riders on the gates for the 450 heats this past week? There was empty gates, right? Like
I turned to my missus and I said, if I was in America racing right now, I would have guaranteed a night show and a heat race and an LCQ, and that's literally all I want to do before I'm 35. So I really should have been there. I really didn't take advantage of it.
You haven't hit the plane this week because it's probably going to be much the same, right? Like,
I know, right? The dang bank account ain't letting that.
I know, but like I've said this before, like, you know, looking at those entries sometimes, not usually the 450 class, but usually it's the 250 class, and I'd be like, damn, I should have just put myself on a plane and just hired a bike from anyone, because I reckon to put yourself in a night program at any point would just be like a goal just massively tick, right? Like, and I reckon I could pull it off at that point, like, especially when there's only 35 or whatever. But the point is the injuries are adding up for us to get to that point where our entry levels aren't high enough that we're cutting people out of the night show. Add in the fact that RJ Hampshire went down, pulled out. We're going to talk about that in a sec, but pulled out on that first lap of qualifying. It sort of made those numbers look even worse. We ended up with only, I think it was 35, maybe 34 riders for that 450 night program, which that's just unheard of, Benny.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Like you said, it's good for the people in the LCQ and they're not trying to get to the night show. But yeah, for the numbers overall, it's they're probably not stoked with that.
I'm surprised nobody made a MXGP in Thailand, joke about the gates and stuff, because that's where we usually hear, oh, the AMA's always got full gates, and the MXGP can't get anyone to go to their flyaway rounds. Well, hello, we're in bloody Phoenix of all places. It should be a fairly close drive for all these California-based, guys. Where were they all, right? Like,
I reckon that's the first time in my entire life of watching Supercross that I've ever seen that like empty gates in a heat race. I don't think I've ever seen it.
But well, I think East Coast you might have had 1 or 2, but
maybe
definitely not 450 class. Like
no,
So it's a very rare thing. So injuries are playing a factor. I think their entry list was just down because I seem to remember only having 45 or 46 when we talked about the entries for Anaheim 1. So we get a couple of injuries. Obviously, we've run out of guys pretty quickly for whatever reason, but. My man up here, number 74, he's going to be number 50 this year, Lorenzo Lacurcio. I've got word that he's actually doing the 450 for the East Coast this year. So he's coming in shortly. So he'll be loving the fact of how many people are on the gate because he's probably looking himself for a main event here shortly, which should be really cool. But RJ Hampshire, Benny, I've got a theory, but I'm going to run it past you. So they claimed on the press release that it was illness, but the word is that he overjumped the finish line by a week and face planted and then rolled off the track and then pulled out. And that's when we got the illness PR. What's the chances that he had a concussion midweek or he got a concussion or a bit daisy on that impact? And they put out a PR saying illness so that he didn't have to go on concussion protocol for the week.
It's possible. Maybe he just didn't want to do the tests that AP passed, and then thought, oh, that probably wasn't ideal.
Elijah, have you had any experience with these tests, like in Australian side of things?
No, I've probably never been recognised enough with my raw speed to ever actually be randomly tested. So, never been done.
Fair call. You're going to be on the list now, right? Like you're sitting here listening in on this. They're going to be like, oh, for sure we're getting that guy. Round 1,
Yeah, no, I haven't had any experience with it, so I couldn't tell you anything about it.
No. So Benny, yeah, do you think that that's where we're at? Like, I feel like there's a link here because RJ being RJ, he's ridden after he got a wooden stake in the heart, basically through the lung. He's busted an ACL and raced in like I think it was 9.5, 10 weeks from the surgery. He's not a guy that pulls out just because he's feeling a little bit ill.
Yeah, I think it's a huge possibility. And we also know that he ends up on the ground a fair bit as well at times.
He's been pretty good lately, honestly. He's been really good.
Yeah. And yeah, the nations weren't great. But in Supercross he's been all right. But yeah, it's quite possible.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something to that. I just don't feel like there was just an illness. But anyway, injury-wise, out for Seattle. Did you guys see the Paul Bloy incident where he was basically landed on in that rhythm lane? Man, these guys, I don't get... I know it's Supercross and you don't always get your line right, but damn, there's a lot of people landing on people in the last few weeks here. Like, it's happened far too often, I think, for my liking. And maybe that's why we don't have many people on the gate. Maybe also the people that could be doing this better aren't around anymore, and we've got people that have come in with lesser skill. But damn, he's beat up. So that was ugly, right, Benny?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of big crashes with, in the 250s, in the futures, like the Ryder Malinowski one was horrible. And they're not just a small tip over. They're not just, little takeout or something like that. They've all been big hits. And a lot of them have been people getting landed on.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. You didn't mention too, because I was bringing up about if you'd seen it, but I saw it because of whoever was it, you or somebody else that dropped it in our AlwaysMoto group chat that we have. We've got like 20 or 30 people in there now, and we get all these videos dropped in, Elijah, like from different angles. Obviously, you don't follow everybody on social, but somebody else in the group does, and then next thing you know, the videos in there, like, oh, sick, I haven't seen that one yet. Like, the group chat's been working really well in that sense because you see lots of different stuff.
Yeah, I reckon I did see an angle of that as well. And I was kind of that was the one in the LCQ where it got red flagged, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was a little like, it's easy said than done, but like he was supposed to go table single and he sort of just rolled, like, which he kind of, it didn't look like there was anyone really around him. And I've been in that situation too, where I've sort of already taken off and someone's then decided to roll. You can't really do much about it. But it does seem to be this year, there's been a lot of those gnarly, like one going up, one coming down, just landing on the back of him. At the end of the day, it is racing, but it's hard to say what you can do to really fix that. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's really like it's unsettling to watch, obviously from a spectator point of view, and it doesn't present our sport in a great light. But yeah, I don't know what you change for that side of things, short of starting a single file, which isn't part of racing for motocross and supercross. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's first lap chaos. It's been 3 major ones that I can think of. Probably I think we got up to 5 actually that are haven't had too many bad. Maybe like Paul Bloy's only beat up supposedly. But yeah, there's been some pretty significant things so far this season. Another 250 privateer, Braden Spangle, got a concussion, got his shoulder busted up. It's meant to be his hometown race this weekend in Seattle. He's out, unfortunately. He's getting his shoulder looked at. Obviously, probably won't pass concussion protocol either, mainly because he's a privateer, but all the pros seem to pass it within a week. Slade Varola, this is an interesting one. He must have broken his fibula. All I've got is a broken ankle as the information I've been able to gather. But he did that at Anaheim 1. He's been riding through since Anaheim 1 with a broken fibula. So he was trying to pull the Eli Tomac there from last season for a couple of weeks now. But he's finally given in. So he's out. He was out at Glendale and he's out this weekend for Seattle. So he'll probably be back when the the West Coast swings back around to the next race, which will be a East-West showdown at some point in a couple of weeks' time. So interesting one for him. Now, if you guys haven't seen this one, search it on social media. If you look up Robert Haley, he's the tallest man in Supercross, even bigger than Benny Bloss. If you haven't seen him before, look it up because he's a massive dude. But he's unfortunately broken his ankle, and the x-ray that he put up, and I look at these things semi-regularly these days, not as much as I used to when I was in the clinic. But man, even I went, ooh. That's not good. Like, it's a mangled x-ray, this thing. Search it up on socials. It's not pretty at all. But if nothing else, check out his height. But he might lose a centimeter on his right leg or something by the time this ankle's straightened back out. But yeah, it's not pretty. It's really not pretty. So anyway, he's out as well. But yeah, it somewhat quiet week in Glendale, but the track was fast but smooth, if that makes sense. So it probably created less incidents. But I feel like I said earlier in the show about the rounds coming up being all soft rutted and Daytona being fast, I feel like we might get another run here for a few injuries, and especially seeing as we'll have East Coast kicking off here shortly. That's usually another point where we get a couple of injuries for their season kicking off. We lose a couple of guys straight away. It's just how it goes, it seems to be. So we'll see how that goes. But that's our emergency department update. Next on our list to run through, and we don't have another intro, so you don't have to worry about this part, Elijah, but I've got a Stark Varg at the moment. Have you ridden a Stark Varg, Elijah?
Pre the Kawasaki signed contract, I have spent a bit of time on one. I actually rode quite a bit of Supercross on one, and this was going back a year or two ago, like when they were fresh out. Yeah, they're fun. They're really good fun. I wanted to do a lot of maybe riding in places you couldn't ride on them because they're quiet. But yeah, they're good fun. I really enjoy it. It's like a whole different aspect on the same sport that we all love, right?
Yeah. So I've got the EX version, which is the enduro version. So slightly, it's exactly the same from what I gather, just different, obviously a little bit different mapping, different tire size. We've obviously got a headlight and a tail light, but it's actually so slim and lightweight on these ones that you almost don't notice it. But
I think they've got a slightly bigger battery too. They
the new battery on the, because they've got the 1.2 motocross version out now. It's actually the same battery capacity, which is at 7.2 kilowatt now, which was up from 6.7 when they were first released. So they're both slightly bigger. But you comment about riding it where you shouldn't probably ride it. It's not so much that I've taken it anywhere illegal. But it's more that I've just ridden it at a time when I would normally think there's no way I'm getting on my dirt bike at this time of day. And the fact that, like, for me as a normal sort of Joe Blow these days, I'm not going to races as regularly as I would have in my 20s and early 30s. I don't get as often on the bike. I probably at best once a fortnight, maybe weekly if I'm really lucky, right? And I've got a track in my backyard. I've got plenty of property and space to ride it. But since I've had the Stark, and obviously I'm interested to ride it, but I can ride like 3 and 4 times a week. It's purely just down to my body being, tired or whatever. I just run out of, go for it. But I can go at 6 a.m. in the morning, do an hour and a bit, come back in and I can get to work still. I can then come home and at like 5:30, jump on and go again. Like the bike's charged in between time. And as much as it's different and it won't last for like a 2-hour cross country in one battery life, the damn thing has made me ride way more than I would have just by owning a petrol bike. So it's such a bizarre state that I'm in where I'm like, it's really cool. It can't race in some circumstances, but it's really freaking cool and I'm riding fast and it's easy to ride. And yeah, it's just bizarre.
Yeah, I think that the people comparing them to normal bikes, I think that needs to stop. It's like it's in its whole own category. Like you said, it's like this different, whole different part of riding, and it's like, it does. I don't know. It was so much fun because it was the same thing but different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I loved it. I think it was awesome. Do you have the handbrake or the foot brake?
Yes.
The handbrake?
Handbrake.
Yeah, okay. See, I've ridden both. I didn't get along with the handbrake so well. I was just so ingrained that I just couldn't use the handbrake that great. But I'm sure with more time, like you could definitely see the benefits of it. It's pretty
there's
cool.
stupid things, and I said this to Benny before because we've had a couple of chats about this on the show now. But I've said that like for the first week or so, I would like use the brake like a clutch. Like it was my ingrained memory was the clutch in the corner, right? And then the other thing was like I'd go over it. There's a double on my track into a berm, and I'd have to pop it, downshift, and basically go for the brake for the landing to make the corner, right? It's really tight. And so I would do that on the Varg, and I would be instantly moving my feet to downshift and brake. And I'm like, you idiot, it's just this. Like,
Yeah.
so it takes a while to undo, but then funny story. And Benny, I can't remember if I told this one about doing some start practice against my wife on her 350.
No, I haven't heard this.
Good. I haven't heard that. You haven't heard it. Then I haven't told it on the show, because this is a couple of moments of me being like, 1, dumb, 2, holy F, and then 3, holy F for a different reason. So we're out riding. We've got my son. He's on a gas 50. My wife's got a gas 350. I've got on the Varg. We're taking him for a little bush ride. We come back and we get to our open area of the paddock where we would normally do some like practice race starts, right? And my wife goes, come on. I want to do a start. I want to see you, see how fast this thing is. And I'm like, oh, no worries. All right, cool. So we line up and we're sitting there talking for a second. And I go to, oh, look, when you dump the clutch, I'll use that as my cue to go, right? Like, rather than like both saying ready, set, go, or chucking a rock up. So we're sitting there chatting and she's like, all right, no worries, sweet. She clicks in the gear. I sort of sit there, get ready, and she dumps the clutch and I go for the throttle and nothing happens. And I'm like, what the hell? What? And I'm looking around and I forgot that the auto, so what it does is auto times out when it's in gear, so that you don't then grab the throttle thinking you're sitting still by mistake because there's no sound, and then obviously fly off the back of it. It goes into neutral basically. So I'd gone, oh shit. So she turned around, came back. I'm like, all right, let's try that again. I'm making sure that I've got a little bit of throttle on it so it's pulling and I can feel that it's not in neutral, right? But so then she dumps the clutch the second time. And so I'm like, she's not getting me a second time because she's like, oh, one, I've got one, I've got one. So I bury it. And I haven't had this happen for many a years, but I nearly looped out. And I'm dead set like 12 o'clock. And I'm like, at that point, the handbrake, I had to physically go, where's the rear brake? Because my instinct would be to jam the foot, right? But I'm like, wait, where is it? And I'm like, for a second, I'm doing the whole like this. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, oh, there it is. And I fully slammed down. And I hadn't even, she passed me, beat me, and she's like, oh, 2-0, 2-0. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I've nearly just died, but it's okay. You can be 2-0. Yep, sure. I'm like, come on, round we go. Let's go again. So this next time did the whole, pull the pants up, slid right up the front, put my basically chin over the bloody crossbar. And I'm like, I'm not doing that again. And sure enough, she takes off, gets maybe a bike length in front. I've buried it, stayed over the front for a change. And within like 3 meters, I've gone straight past her like she was standing still. And she's like, holy shit, that thing's fast. So once you figure out the technique, you're good. But it took a little while for me to get the nuances down. It was weird.
I had similar issues on the Varg, just, natural things that you do on a normal bike, right? Like you just take it over onto a Varg. And my first couple laps on a Supercross track, and I jumped everything pretty quickly, but with the no free play in the throttle, right? Because obviously it's electric, it needs to be instant. Granted, I was on motocross suspension, probably not a great idea. I've gone a little long on a Supercross triple, and it was a tight track. So there was a berm, like you were saying at your track, you land, berm, and I've gone a little long, and probably a movement that would be like just nothing on a normal bike with a bit of free play. This thing just took off. Like I managed to stay on it, and luckily there was no one coming the other way, but it went, like I was in 60 horsepower. So like it was a decent amount.
Yep.
And and she took off. But there's certain things like you were saying with that handbrake, like I'd be lost if I was in that situation with a handbrake. I would end up in the fence.
That emergency point of me going, I'm about to loop out and having to think, where is the brake? Whereas normally you're just doing. That was like, I'm like, that's the first point where I'm like, this could be problematic. But other than that, I've now got it, right? Like the brake is so good to modulate mid-corner. And like, I actually don't lock the rear brake up anywhere near as much as I usually would, because I'm feeling it so much better. And Benny, like, it's just like riding a push bike, mate. Like, this control is just here. And my clutch finger that normally has a dirty, great big hole in it from, blisters and whatnot, it's actually like recovering. Like the skin's back on it. Like I don't have that problem with the brake side of things, because you're not pulling the lever all the way in to all the way out to get it to, you know, switch on and off with the clutch, whereas you're just literally just feeling firmness and coming off it. It's such an easier process with the Varg. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, speaking of the push bike, I was going to say to Elijah, so obviously you do the downhill thing and you've probably got the brake on the handlebar.
Yeah,
still couldn't
No,
on the bike, still couldn't gel with it on the bike.
that was the thing. Like I went into it like, oh, I race downhill. Like this will be no worries. But I was just using it like a clutch. I was like slowing myself down in turns. I was struggling to get like in and lean and just stay leant over because and it probably is a good training technique because it probably shows you how much you like use your clutch and shouldn't, you know, and the same clutch, and you pull in a clutch, it pulls your bike up. Same with that rear brake. So yeah, I couldn't get the hang of it. I'm sure if I had more time, like I could 100% see the benefits of it. Like it would be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, even though with that rear brake there, it's also a good way for adults who have never ridden before, they can just jump on and not knowing the difference of having a foot brake or not. I think it'd be a lot better for newcomers to riding for sure as well with that setup.
Yeah, it would be like from a learner point of view to one, this setup, no clutch, no gears to worry about, but two, then the map and how you can literally jump on their dashboard on their Arkenstone phone and just pull all the scale down to be like 20 horsepower. And so like safety wise, it's got to be so much better for you to learn on, you know,
what have you
whiskey
found
throttle
power wise? What are you running yours at power wise? What do you found that works the best?
Oh, look, max power, you know.
That explains why you looped it out.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is like, and you'll see in the videos when I get to it, but like the stock map is a little bit lower and only goes to 40. So as it progresses up, it's actually below the max capacity of its early stages of the mapping.
Right.
And so I'm such a low throttle percentage person and just I don't open it up far. So I actually moved all the initial ones to the max that it was possible and then still went, screw it, I'll put it to 60. But when you actually, and this is the part that I love, is you get the end of the ride, you can actually go through like the dashboard and get all the stats of what you've actually done on the bike. Yeah. And so the amount of times I've got anywhere near 60, I can count on one hand. Right?
Yeah.
Like I've hit 50 maybe 4 times and I've hit 55, 56, I think twice.
Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So the rest of the time it's nowhere near 60. So I'm really only using 40 to 50 horsepower. But that early stage I did max it out. But I also, being a 2-stroke person that hates 4-stroke engine braking, all zeros on the regen side.
Right. Okay.
So I roll in the corners like crazy fast now and I love it. So
yeah, I did spend a bit of time on a motocross track on one and I was 60 horsepower with about 20 or 30% regen.
Yeah.
And I found that for me that was like sweet spot, but it's cool that you can just change it like that. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, and in an instant, right? Like it's no biggie at all to do. So it's so cool. But look, we'll get off the Varg talk, but the point of all bringing it all up is I've got a couple more videos coming out. I've filmed a bunch of them over the weekend. I'm just editing them this week. So over the next couple of weeks, there'll be a bunch of them drop. So check them out on our YouTube channel and you'll hopefully enjoy them and learn something about the Stark Varg and being on an electric bike. So something cool to look forward to there. Now, we're almost at the tail end of the show. It's about how we're watching it, Benny, this weekend, the racing at Super Motocross.
Got to watch it on the app. No other way.
Are you got your phone there to watch it on? Do you cast it to your TV? What are you doing?
I cast it from my computer to the TV.
You missed my prompt about like
I
picking
know,
up your phone.
I know. It's coming.
It's
coming.
Right, we'll get
it's
to
coming.
Later. Yeah.
It's coming.
Quadlock has given us a couple of things, Elijah. So we got the Chucky Sanders special edition Quadlock case there that we got sent, and we're going to do a test on that at some point. But
if it's a Chucky Sanders. If it's a Chucky Sanders replica, it must be tough as nails then.
It's tough as nails. I've dropped it already plenty of times on the concrete, not a mark on it.
Look, this is what kids don't realize about eating apples, apparently, right? He grew up on an
don't
apple farm. He's
forget.
eaten a bazillion and one apples in his life, and he can ride
Yeah,
through a bloody broken collarbone and separated shoulder or whatever it was that he did. So
yeah. Forget the milk. Just eat apples.
just eat
Yeah,
apples. Just eat apples, guys.
yeah.
But yeah, so we're on the Super Motocross Video Pass. 4:30 race day live starts Sunday morning, 11 a.m. for the night show. That's Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And I just realized, Elijah, you're going to be on a different time zone. And I didn't even consider that when I was talking to you, but you've managed to work it out perfectly. So kudos to you.
That's right. Not all us moto riders are as dumb as we look.
Wow. Touche. Weather-wise, I was mentioning this earlier for Seattle. It's an outdoor open venue. It's going to be cloudy and between 3 and 7 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be absolutely balmy for Seattle weather-wise, boys.
Yeah, I was just actually thinking, how hot is it right now in Adelaide? Because it's been
hot.
pretty hot here, and I know it's been pretty hot in Adelaide. How hot is it in that shed right now? Because you've been sitting here for a little bit.
It's hot. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been wiping away some sweat lately. I was out coaching this afternoon. It was like 36 degrees. I'll come back in the shed. It's not much cooler. But yeah, it's all good. We're on the preseason
The shed.
This is the detox phase. We're sweating it out, right?
Yeah. So I can get my bike work done and shed weight. It's just a win-win.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All good. All right. Upcoming events, and maybe Elijah can add one to this, but I've got some lists here that we normally just go through for what's coming up for the week or two. But seeing as where we are in the season, I added a few extra things here. So obviously AMA is this weekend at Seattle, but the following weekend is February 21st. It's at round 7 for Arlington. The New South Wales Motocross State titles are kicking off on the 28th and the 1st, so 28th of Feb, 1st of March at Canberra. The Australian Enduro Championships in Roma and Victoria on March 7th and 8th for their first round. MXGP is due to start on March 8th in Argentina. The Queensland Motocross State titles are going to start in Warwick on March 14-15. New South Wales Off-Road Championship kicks off at Maitland on March 14. The Oz Pro MX kicks off at Wonthaggi on March 21st. This is a really late start for this one, but Vic Motocross titles are not starting until April 11 and 12 in Ballarat. It seems really late to me, but maybe that's just how their things are going to work. And then the other one I've got listed, same weekend, the Hard Enduro Championship kicks off at the Kosciuszko Killer on the April 11th and 12th as well. But Elijah, do you know when the South Australian ones actually kick off? Or do you not really care at this point?
Yeah, I think it's March sometime. The first round's at Murray Bridge in March sometime. I believe it's before Nationals. Maybe not. I could be wrong about that. But it's March sometime, but we've only got 3 rounds, so we're very spread out. Yeah, we're very spread out over here. It's like a month or two in between. So yeah, not a heat going on over here, really. But that's pretty standard for little old SA.
Look, I didn't even consider looking them up, to be honest. I was thinking about South A and WA, and I'm like, nah, I'll leave them off the list. But
yeah, I probably should. I probably should know, but I'm as every privateer is, I'm always pretty unorganized.
Look, you'll get there when it's meant to happen, right? You'll find out the date at the last minute, and you'll somehow still get the van and the bike there, so it's fine.
Exactly.
It's fine. All right, boys, anything else you want to add to that? That's been about an hour and 20-something minutes that we've been cracking on for, having a good time, but it's going to come to an end right now, it seems. But is there anything else you need to add, Benny, before we go?
I've actually got one for Elijah that I forgot earlier.
Go on.
So you got this fancy Isuzu. It's all nice and wrapped up.
Yep.
And you did a little bit of a crossover at the Supercars and Supercross event in Adelaide. How did that go? Like, was that cool going in the garages and seeing all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that was awesome. Again, like another huge sponsor of mine for this year is Waivu Isuzu Ute. So I've been nice enough to give me a Ute for a year or 12 months to drive around in and enjoy not driving a big van all the time. So that's been great. But yeah, like I said, we did obviously with the V8s and the Supercross there. Waivu Isuzu's got a lot to do with the Utes, the V8 Utes. They didn't have them at Adelaide, but there was still a lot of cars there. So it was awesome. It was cool to see another side of racing. And I watch a little bit of car racing, but not that in depth. And like the technology and the data and like everything that they have is like pretty mind blowing on the level that that's at. So yeah, it was really cool. It was good. It worked out really well. Everyone was happy. The video was cool. So yeah, maybe in a few years' time I might get a cage over my head and we might go racing some Isuzu Utes if we can make it
Jeez.
happen. Yeah,
Breaking news.
yeah. So, but no, it was cool. I really enjoyed it. That side of things was really cool, and yeah, again, just pays to put in work with the content and get some cool outside sponsors. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and you got to show them around our side of it too, didn't you?
Yeah. It actually worked really well. Like Craig, who Wayville, he's got a lot to do with Craig Dontas, who's got a lot to do with V8s. He actually knew Toby Price. He knew a few of the KDM boys. So like it worked really well. And we're all obviously motorsports fans, and but they were pretty like keen to see Supercross and watch and just experience it, because like as big as we think Supercross is, it's really not that big. So it was cool to show them and something they haven't seen before, and even just jumping the triple they think is like crazy. So yeah, it was cool, worked out well, and hopefully continue that partnership on through a few years to come, and keep trying to grow our little sport outside of what we have right now.
Yeah, well, it seems to be working a little bit.
Trying to do my little bit. So but yeah, no, just having fun along the way. That's the main thing.
Oh, nice. Now, Benny, we didn't do this at the start of the show, but we should have, and we missed it, and I'm coming back to it. You've got a couple of shout-outs you need to do, mate.
Yeah, I have. So I've got a birthday shout-out for Walter, who I think would be AlwaysMoto's youngest fan. It's his birthday this Saturday. He turns 5.
Walter.
So happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday to him. And I got to say happy birthday to Jack, who's my nephew. It's his birthday on Thursday. So happy birthday to him too.
Happy birthday, Jack, as well. There's a couple of young fans there, mate. He was shouting out, watching. Hopefully they can spur a few extra of their buddies to come and watch too, maybe.
Yeah.
We can go from 2 watches to 4 or something like that,
Yeah, well, I'll tell him he's a big mountain bike rider, so I'll tell him we had a professional mountain bike rider on tonight. top 10 rider.
Because you're only cross racer, and he's a professional mountain biker.
Hey, if you're in top 10, you're only as good as your last race. That was the last race. So
we're going again. We're going again this season. I'm going to get back on the downhill bike this year, so we're looking for that podium next year.
Oh Jesus! How you've managed to you made one comment about being top 11, and I've just sort of grabbed onto that like a piece of any cloth I could hold onto, and I've run with it.
I'm actually now quite a experienced golfer. Actually, I've taken up golf. So
here we go.
In my off season, I'm only shooting. I think it's like 35 over, so it's pretty good. So for the first timer, we're getting there.
Well, you're in the same class as golfing as me then, because I'm usually about 30-ish over. So
awesome.
And
awesome.
X amount of balls lost. So
Oh yeah. But how good is it? It's the best. Well, second best sport in the world.
Third after your mountain biking, right?
Yeah. Well, true. Sorry, yeah, true. So, yeah, we're trying to do it all this off season. Skateboarding, everything. We're just doing it all.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Benny, anything else, or was that your question? You got your questions in and your shout outs?
Yeah, that's it. We got the quad lock shout out in. I think that's it.
Yep, job done. Elijah, anything for you, mate? Do you need to shout a couple of sponsors or anything? We can give you the floor,
mate,
right?
We'd be here all day. I got so many good people to look after me. But no, obviously, firstly, you guys, thank you for having me on. It's been good to chat.
You're welcome anytime. And
you're awesome thank interview. You. Thank you. So, no, it's been a good pre-season or start of pre-season. Looking forward to get into it. Still finalising some sponsors. So if anyone does want to jump on board, then let me know, because we're sort of looking for some more sponsors to get on board. But all my sponsors, MX Store, have been huge for me. They obviously do a lot in the privateer scene as well. They've been awesome. Kawasaki, obviously, like we've talked about, and just everyone else on board. Fist, Fourth, Sammy Moore, he's awesome. SKDA, who I actually work for as well, he's given me a job and stickers, so that's awesome. DBS, suspension. There's so many people, not only do the factory teams have a lot of sponsors, us privateers have a lot of people that help us as well. So if I've forgotten everyone or anyone, I'm sorry, but everyone that helps me, thank you very much.
Well said, mate. Well said. All right, guys. Great show. Thank you for all being a part of it. Thanks for listening on the podcast players. And if you're not listening on the podcast players, you should be watching it on the YouTube channel and subscribing. Don't forget your t-shirt orders in, info@alwaysmoto.com. Check out our written articles over on fullnoise.com.au, and we've got all the links to the Stark Varg stories. I got stuck right in the, I think I did all right today, actually, but I got stuck pretty much in the last two sentences. But anyway, so yeah, fullnoise.com.au for the Stark Varg articles. And then, yeah, thanks to our show supporters, technicmotorsport.com, duramoose.com.au, Pivot Pegs, Competitive Edge Performance, and Tech 167 3D Printing for that show support. Thanks to the wife and kids for letting me get this done. Thank you, Benny. Thank you, Elijah. And we will see you all at the track.
See ya. Thank you.